we all know that we are all just pawns in Ashish Nehra's game of life.
Yes.
Gujarati, captain of Gujarat Titans.
And you could not perhaps write a better script.
Here's a guy who's not captained before, right? Anything.
Okay, so why don't you do this? You make a point and I'll try and come back to it.
I'm with who I like to call the L4 and L5 of GT, right? Integral part of the spine, the backbone of running the team. There'll be a lot of fans out there and a lot of fans of GT, a lot of fans of cricket, for whom you will be new faces in terms of running the team. Which is understandable because when you have the faces of Ashish Nehra and Hardik Pandya, those animated faces, it's very difficult for others to steer attention towards them, which is why they're not here. I've locked the door. They're outside. This is all safe. First of all, congratulations on the first season win. Great start, dream start. You said something very interesting, Vikram, which I want to start off with straight off the bat, which is that pressure is a privilege. So tell me how the win of season 1 has translated for you in the mindset of season 2.
Firstly, Gaurav, thank you for having us. And thank you for the introduction. You're absolutely right. We are definitely behind the scenes. I think that fits our character as well, both Arvinder and I. And actually, rightly so as well, it is the team and the coaching staff that should be at the forefront of everybody's mind. That's certainly the way we've sort of operated. On your point, you've probably, quite clearly done some research.
I read 2 lines.
That's pretty much what I said. I stole that from somebody as well, to be totally honest with you. But on your point about pressure being a privilege, I think elite level sport is exactly that. One, elite level sport is obviously a privilege to be involved in any capacity. If you have the good fortune of playing elite level sport, you've done a lot of hard work throughout your formative years as well as your professional career to get to the point where you are able to then go and perform on the biggest stages in the world, whatever sport it might be. And that point about pressure as a privilege, in my mind, sits as the fact that, one, you expect the best of yourself and you expect the best of those around you. And you're willing to work together to try and achieve a goal that everybody aspires to achieve. And I suppose that in my mind is what I mean by pressure as a privilege. It is not my quote. I've stolen it totally.
I think it's Billie Jean King.
Yes, I think so.
Is it Billie Jean King?
Yeah.
It's good words to steal, though, isn't it? Colonel, of course, you're called Colonel. You're not a colonel like Dilip Vengsarkar was the colonel.
I'm an actual one.
You're an actual colonel in the army. It's a long way from the army to running an IPL team, or is it not?
Of course it is, but it's been so long now. I mean, I spent about 21 plus years in the army. It's been 15 years out of that now. So it's pretty much, I've seen both sides of it. So fits in well.
I want to ask you one question because this is something that really irks me with broadcasting and when television, people always, and you're the right person to ask this actually, because people always say, it's battle, it's war when they see a cricket game. And I always want to say, no, it's not. It's a fierce competition, yes, but it's not battle and it's not war. I get really irked when I hear that because I've had friends and family in the army. You must be losing your mind when you hear that.
When it started out, yes. I used to actually wonder, what's war about this? It's sport. It's meant to be played and you're supposed to enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
War is not supposed to be enjoyed.
True.
How can it be war?
Yeah.
So yes, initially, but yes, I guess over the years, you just take it as a fact that I think it only brings out the nature of people in the sense that they're supporting their teams and they feel that, this is it. It's like when you talk India-Pakistan cricket matches, It's a similar
Yeah.
situation now coming into certain rivalries within the IPL.
Yeah. I mean, you could call it battle if it was like in the stands between fans in an EPL game.
Yeah, it does become fairly tribal, doesn't it? And those are those sort of established sort of thoughts that fans of football have. It does become very tribal. I don't think it's got to quite that stage as yet. Arvinder mentioned about India, Pakistan. I suppose that's the only comparison. Maybe India, England, Australia as well in the Ashes. But I entirely agree with both of your points. It's sport. First and foremost, it is supposed to be played. One, to enjoy. Two, it's supposed to be watched as entertainment to be enjoyed. So essentially, sometimes we take ourselves a little too seriously. I'd certainly be in agreement with that.
I think that's a great point, because when you look at Gujarat Titans as a team, and we've seen it, one season, another season, I think that's the one thing that comes across is that, of course, you take the game seriously, but you guys don't take yourself too seriously, right? How much of that was part of the general support staff ethos and your collective thinking?
Very much so. More so actually trying to put together a team that had what we felt were the right individuals that could perhaps come together collectively to then create an environment that, one, is conducive to high performance, but at the same time, and perhaps most importantly, is a bit of fun as well. And you could not perhaps write a better script for a certain individual to sort of lead that in Ashish Nehra. And then in addition to that, if you think of the personality that Hardik is, that seems a real sort of match made in heaven almost, doesn't it?
Yes.
Let me add something to it. Vikram, the gentleman that he is, they're not going to take credit for what was done last year or is being done this year. So let me just add my 2 bits to that. I've been involved in this, franchise cricket for the last 15 years now. And I think everybody aspires to create conditions for people to be able to excel, right? Everybody wants to do that. But I can safely say that the first time, and people ask me out of the IPL, outside of this ecosystem, after the IPL, what was the difference? I mean, how come everything just came together? I said, it can happen for a game, it can happen for 2 games, 3 games, 4 games, but it's such a long-drawn tournament. And to say that, it was only because of something else that all this happened, there is a lot of effort that these gentlemen have put in. All of them collectively, on the face of it, they're calm, collected, absolutely. And the kind of atmosphere that has been created in this team by Vikram, Ashish, Hardik, Gary, all the others, everyone down to the last individual. I can safely say I've never seen anything like that. And I've seen more than a few.
Yeah.
I have never seen anything like that. And the difference was, instead of focusing on individuals on and off the field, the difference was, you took care of a person or a player who himself knows that he may not even get a single chance to be on the field, play a match. But he was part of the overall system. And I can tell you the kind of time that Vikram, Ashish, Gary and all would spend on those kind of players was more than what they needed to do on the playing 11, so to say.
Yeah.
Or the players who played more matches than the others. You want to see a good team, you see who was a good player, a good atmosphere of a team, look at the guys who are not playing.
Yeah. Look at the bench.
Look at the bench.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's nice.
That
So-
stems from planning, understanding each other, and then creating the right kind of atmosphere.
It's like you have to make sure that the last row is marching in beat with the first row, right? You can't slack just because you're in the last row of the regiment and you're marching. And I see that's the reason why I have 2 of you here, right? Because that's why I put Sandy with Ashish, because I knew Ashish would take no credit when I asked him. He would say, "Maine kuch nahi kiya, player ne kiya, jo bhi kiya."
Yeah, same.
That's why I've got you here and I've got you here to say, right? So you both have to talk each other up and rib each other as well. We're completely cool here. We're all friends. Is Sai Kishore a good example of that? A guy who was on the bench for a while. You took care of him, and then when he came, he just kind of came and he shone.
It's one example, but he played a massive part in our campaign last year. A massive part when he did get the opportunity, and there are a number of other guys. There were guys that didn't play. You think of the impact. I'll use one in particular. I'm sure there are others. Jayant Yadav didn't play a game, but he had a massive influence on this team. A massive influence because of the personalities, because of the character. He's just around the team.
Yeah.
Just being around the team. Here's somebody who's played Test cricket, who is a fabulous performer. He is on top of his game, and has contributions if given the opportunity, but understands that at certain times his opportunities last year certainly were limited. Yet he, not on a single day did he turn up to training with anything other than energy, anything other than an intention to add to the team rather than detract from it or take anything away from it. And honestly, that's just one example that comes to mind. There are numerous.
Talking about Jayant specifically, there's this folklore, or is that true? There was something about him running a message out to Rahul Tewatia at some point and then not communicating it and saying, no, he doesn't need to be told anything right now.
I'm not sure. I can't. It would be. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because he is somebody who does actually have a real understanding of what is required as far as cricket is concerned. Has a real understanding of what is required as far as his teammates are concerned in terms of personalities and things like that. Yeah. So that wouldn't surprise me in the slightest that he's made an assessment and made a decision. Yeah. And again, I don't have any problem in crediting Ashish with a huge deal of praise because he is entirely deserving of it. I know of nobody that is more giving of their time, of his energy, of his attention, of everything as far as cricket is concerned. And I mean that not just for the team here. He would do it for anybody. We have net bowlers that come, and he will spend an equal amount of time and attention towards them. He will be giving of. He's obviously a very generous person. You know him very well, so he's very kind in his thought as far as that is concerned. So he takes care of all of that. And coming back to your question about Jayant and Rahul, it wouldn't surprise me at all because Ashish would almost encourage that. He would encourage ownership of a decision whereby Jayant could have the confidence to make an assessment that I need to get this across. Or I don't need to get this across. I don't need to deliver this. If he got it wrong, then Ashish might very well let him know. Of course, we probably know that. But he'd allow him the opportunity to make that decision, the ownership of that sort of moment. He'd allow him that.
I find that so interesting because that's something that Ashish said as well, right? He said that I always encourage people that don't talk behind people's backs. If you have anything to say it in front, so own it. And there you go. With ownership comes, like they say with grace.
He's been saying that to me as well lately about all the money that I've taken off him. On the golf course.
On the golf course?
That's one thing that's going to trouble him through the season, if there is any.
I see the sledging that you do to him on the golf course is the sledging he passes on to Yuvraj Singh when he plays with him. I know. So I've seen that. So it's a whole sledging kind of domino effect that is happening. But, to your point, I was chatting with Hardik and Hardik said something so interesting. He said, we were talking about some other team and he had heard that, the ground was wet during their nets and, a kid went and bowled and he kind of, injured his hamstring or whatever. And he said that would never happen here because Ashu will go and check that everything is fine. Even if net bowlers are bowling, this can never happen there, that the ground is wet and somebody's landed on it and injured themselves. He says that would never happen. And that's great, right? Because when you have, it's such a small statement that Hardik has made, it could be just a throwaway line, but it communicates that philosophy so well, which is like, we trust you. And as a support staff, if you see the actual meaning of the word, that's what you have to do. It's support.
So it's very interesting. It's not, and this is something peculiar, and I can, I'm trying to say this because I've seen more than a few, come together. It's not just about the skill set that a person brings in. It's also the human angle, and equally important is the human angle of the person that they choose as to how he's going to fit into the, overall
perhaps even more. Because people are skilled if they're in this business. So is the human factor even more important?
I would say so. I would definitely say so from what I've seen as to how Vikram goes about selecting people. Of course, he has his own ways of, with Ashish and the others as to what he discusses. But I'm privy to how that system works.
Yeah. But tell me, in terms of... hello, Captain. Captain, oh my Captain. So the things you were saying about Hardik, does he know those things?
No, okay, of course.
Does he know? You guys obviously speak a lot, and you live in the UK and with Ashish living in Goa. Can you talk us through that decision when Hardik's name came up first before the draft as captain?
So as you would expect, there was a lot of discussion around actually what are our opportunities for those first three signings that we made. And initially it was about actually, right, let's find the best possible individuals as far as skill sets concerned, as well as character and personality, all the things that we've already spoken about. But what are the three best signings we can make to give ourselves an opportunity to build from in an auction? Those three were identified immediately. There were a couple of guys that we discussed, we spoke about for the sake of being thorough in our assessment of what was needed. But those three we sort of banked on straight away. If we can get these three, we are good to go as a start. So that was the first process in identifying that. And then it was a matter of actually thinking, as far as captaincy was concerned, where are we going to go with this? And Ashish had made an assessment very quickly, as he does. He almost at times, I think, and you'll know this well, he sometimes plays the almost the sort of non-thinking, everything. And you know full well that he will sit through every decision he makes and check it from every angle, check it, and he will run it by in conversation with me. He will run it by conversation, and he might very well have spoken to you about some sort of this, and whilst not laying it out that this is what I'm thinking, he would almost just go about gathering information that then the final decision, and everybody saw the logic as clear as day. That actually this makes total sense. And then if you interact with Hardik, you actually, because I didn't know Hardik, I'd met him. Ashish knew Hardik.
Yeah. Played with him.
Yeah. So knew him as a person, as a cricketer, and they obviously have a connection. And when then I subsequently met Hardik, it just seemed, this makes total sense. Everything that Ashish has sort of spoken about, and of course, then you sort of run through the conversations you were having 2 weeks ago, and you think, okay, this is what he was trying to get to and trying to establish, and it's almost like a Machiavellian sort of plan, really, that you get to the point where actually, we're all aligned on our thinking. It's probably because he's drip fed it through. That's right. The whole time.
It's a carefully constructed, careless look.
Yeah,
that's what I call it.
Yeah. Actually, there's no better description. Actually,
we all know that we are all just pawns in Ashish Nehra's game of life.
Yes,
right?
That is very true.
But how do you guys? What is the way that you guys bring him around to an idea that you would have? I got an answer from Sandy saying it's not as clear as just walking up and saying, Ashubhai, here's what it is. He says, we have this little game, Vikram, Ashish Kapoor, me. We got to figure it out. So how do you guys crack that code?
So he let you into that, did he?
Just a little bit.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, there is a slightly lengthier procedure than simply just going and sort of, what do you think about this? It's sort of, right, well, somebody can play one side of an argument and somebody else can play the other side of the argument, and then we can flip and see if we can get him to actually side with one side, and we can get to some sort of a collective decision, but actually he's made the decision. But even having said that, your point is probably more accurate. We are just but pawns. So it might very well be that he is actually instigating that game itself and actually controlling the whole matter. We're painting him out to be some Ming the Merciless or something like that. It's not the case, obviously. He's a very generous and thoughtful person. But it's a lot of fun. Those sort of conversation and interactions.
if let's say an idea comes, let's talk through specifics here, right? Let's say Sandy spots something, right? Goes through his data, spots something. Who's the first door he knocks? Is it you, Gary, Ashish, Kapoor?
Definitely not Ashish.
Yes.
As in Nera.
Yeah.
Stats. Probably myself and Gary, actually.
Yeah.
With that. Gary, in fact, probably me. And then we can go about thinking about how we might go and position it. Yeah, perhaps. And to some extent, again, Ashish Kapoor, an entirely different angle to bring to any discussion. But he's got a real eye for sort of spotting talent. He's watched so much cricket for the fact that he was, junior selector, chairman of the selection panel and things like that. So we're reminded of actually what he brings. So in terms of putting the team together, it was with those sort of qualities. Yeah. But yes, presenting. So the stats side of it all, I think that that's a growing part of the game. I think it can certainly guide your decision. It shouldn't lead your decision. It can guide your decisions is something that we've sort of spoken about, but it's important to have. Ashish makes the point about that. No, this is not the way he operates. He knows every single stat that there's going on.
Yeah.
You might mark my words. Yeah. He knows exactly what's gone on.
And then he'll say things like, "Arey, jo आंकड़े देखते हैं, उनको ये पता होगा." We know you're watching, bro.
Exactly.
We know you know them.
देखता सब कुछ है वो.
सब कुछ.
देखता सब कुछ है वो. But you can't again. The 15th year of the first year when an Indian coach won the IPL. Yeah. I think that speaks a lot. There's a lot of talk about how people go about doing their businesses, and it's not my preserve to comment on one is better than the other or not. But having watched him closely, and again so much closely, only because of the environment that we were in, the bio bubble that we were in. Yeah. So one got to watch him a little more closely than you otherwise would, interact with the head coach or the other coaching staff. He's different.
Yeah,
he's actually different.
Yeah, this has turned into the Ashish Nehra appreciation.
Yeah. No,
let's change this.
Yeah.
Let's change this topic.
True,
and
but
tell you how crazy he is. He's a crazy person. It's so interesting that you say that. See, because on the outside with everybody, here's a guy who's not captained before, right? Anything.
Okay, so why don't you do this? You make a point, and I'll try and come back to it. So not captain before.
Yeah. So he's not captain before.
One. So stop there.
Yeah.
He's not captain before. He's won 4 trophies and played leadership role.
Yeah.
4 trophies and played quite a leadership role.
Yeah.
Next one.
Great point. Then, of course, there was the thing of him coming off a bad season, which can happen to anybody. The question mark around his bowling, right? So, as I like to say, listen, Hardik, the player, no question mark, right?
So on the bowling, let's go through it.
Yeah, the
bowling point. Bowling point. We thought if Hardik Pandya gets into our team as a batsman, if he bowls, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
We made that decision.
Great. One more. So I've got one more.
Go on.
The decision, and I know that Ashish got to this decision really early, which is that we're going to bat him at 4 and you're going to optimize his usage in multiple roles as a batter, not just as the previous role we'd seen him as just a finisher. That decision.
Just seeing the quality of what he can do, actually. And then Ashish knowing, probably because he having bowled at him in the nets, just thought this guy actually lines up as a batsman. He has the technique. He has all of the attributes to be a batsman. And hence being the point, he gets into most teams as a batsman.
Yeah.
His bowling is a bonus. If we put a plan together where actually that is the case, where he doesn't have to bowl, then we get to the point that he does bowl, it's a win.
Does that liberate him as a bowler? When you know that you're not, the team wants you bowling and likes you bowling, but it doesn't need it, right?
But I think it liberates you as a team rather than him as an individual.
Interesting.
Because it gives you, in terms of the balance of your team, if you're putting together a team, it's actually, we're not entirely reliant on actually that individual. Hardik is a cricketer, and he will always be viewed as a cricketer in the whole sense as batsman, bowler, fielder, captain, last.
Yeah.
And now, sometimes his leadership it might play a bigger part in what he brings to one particular game as compared to the other. The final, how he bowled in the final, he obviously has played a great role with the bat, but actually the wicket that he got us across the line, maybe got us across the line, but his bowling played a huge role in that final win. But I think it liberates the team. It perhaps it gives him more option as a captain.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that actually wants to influence every part of the game that he plays.
Yeah.
Every moment, whether it be with the field, he'll want to try and run somebody out. Whether it's a ball, if it's with the ball, he'll want to take that important wicket. Whether it's with the bat, and all of us want to do that. We don't quite have the skill set to perhaps deliver as Hardik does. So we're limited as cricketers at times that, we can only influence this part of the game or this part of the game. He has the good fortune to be able to do so across the three facets.
Firstly, 100% subscribe to what Vikram just explained as to how and why, which is so obvious. There were question marks on him for sure at that point of time.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of sport, no? How strong do you come back?
Correct.
And what do you do on the field? At the end of the day, it's all about what you do on the field, right?
Yeah.
There can be so much of talk about somebody's lifestyle, somebody's this, somebody that. But at the end of the day, what counts is performance, right?
Yeah.
So that is something which was always with him, that he has the capability. He was going through let's say a lean patch for a period of time, also because of his injury and a subsequent surgery. But if you look at it from our perspective of the business side of it, in terms of, how does he fit in? Gujarat Titans, right?
Yeah.
What could be better than a Hardik Pandya who becomes captain, even though it is for the first time? That is from a cricketing perspective. But what he brings to the franchise on the whole, in terms of the face of the franchise, which I can then go out and reach out to, people and clients and agencies, etc., and all that. And we are just starting out, of course. We hardly had any time. It was a huge, immense help. It all stemmed from the fact, while captaincy may have been whatever it was in terms of, and I was not involved in that decision, to be honest. What stood out was the fact that, okay, fine, Gujarati, captain of Gujarat Titans, and gentleman by the name Hardik Pandya, who everybody loves, who's already achieved so much in life, is now raising the bar, and look at what he did. So as a start point, it was absolutely, it was a no-brainer, seriously speaking. It helped us, in which way possible.
Vikram, a few moments that we can share with the fans, because we see on field and we see what happens there, and just you spoke about the final, but off field, some moments when you see Hardik the captain and you go, great captain on field, but also a natural leader of men, so to speak, and those are only things you see, the small things that you see off field.
I agree with you that Hardik is a leader of men, and I think he's a leader of men because of his experiences allow him to empathize with people. You think of some of the things he's been through, some of the sort of highs as well as the lows. Sometimes adversity teaches you a good couple of things about yourself and how you might deal with that. And in his case, I'm fascinated with Hardik's life experiences. You think of what that young man's been through, and to have scaled the heights he has, it certainly has influenced his character. He might very well have made some good decisions on the way. He might very well have made some bad decisions on the way, but don't we all? And I think that acceptance by him in front of his teammates, and that sort of openness and honesty and integrity about his character allows him to be the leader that he is, because he then can very much sort of ask that of others, that integrity, that honesty, that openness, that I'm here for you. First thing, the most common thing that I've heard about Hardik is he has a heart of gold.
Yeah.
And he's every conversation I've had with everybody about, and as soon as you talk about Hardik, heart of gold. And it's so true. So if that is what is at the very crux of his character, why wouldn't he be a good leader of men? Mm. You asked for some examples. One sticks out in my mind. The first game we lost, Hardik walked into the dressing room and immediately set about changing everybody's mood. immediately. Insisted that he was more upbeat than we won. Understand that it was an important moment for the team. We're a new team getting together. We've won. We've sort of celebrated and congratulated each other through the wins. But actually, at the time that we lost our first game, he recognized that was a moment that we mustn't let slip to the point that it is almost all-consuming. It's okay. Yeah. It's no big deal, guys.
Wow.
He was insisting that everybody, as soon as we got back to the team room, that he actually called a few people and said, "Why aren't you here? Now's the time we get together. Now's the time we get together and make sure we realize that it was fine. It's fine." And and that's why I think Ashish and Hardik have that connection, because they're very similar characters, and I'm as much in awe of Ashish's life experiences for what he's been through, and I see some consistency. I see some common themes between the two of them. They love the game of cricket. They love being part of the team. They always want people around them.
Yeah,
all of them. Yeah, both of them. It's almost they're at a loss when they're by themselves a little bit. They're like, let's do something. Let's know. And that in itself brings a team together.
Yeah. How important was and I know because you said this, right? The bio bubble was very important for season 1.
Yeah, give us the bio bubble again.
No, don't. Because that comes with the pandemic.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
Okay.
Can we just do the bio bubble without the pandemic?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm...
If you've noticed, we've tried to recreate that here, even now.
Yeah, I can see.
Away from
the city, away from... You want this little kind of floating citadel in the air.
Yes. Again, the intention is very clear in the sense that we were speaking about it, at the end of the last season. We were just saying that, everybody was fed up of the bubble, and rightly so. I mean, it was constricting to a great extent. And we were that after 3 years, you're going to get back to normalcy in terms of how the IPL is conducted, home, away, and all these activities, what you just spoke about.
Yeah.
I said, let the next season start. People will say that the bubble was, it was better that we were in the bubble.
It was great because in terms of team bonding.
Oh, yes.
You guys are there as a new team. That's just gold, right? It's like what we call in performing arts, captive audience.
Entirely. I suppose I should rephrase that point about the pandemic. Give us the bubble, not the bio bubble. Just give us the bubble. But I think everybody that was involved last year appreciated the fact that we got to spend some quality time together. Not just the players, got to know each other's families because they were always welcome. Got to know some of the kids running around the sort of family room and stuff. I've called it the family room, Freudian slip you might call it, but it was the team room. Yeah. It ended up being the family room because kids were running around playing pool, table tennis. They were sort of having interactions with all of the players. They became more friendly with all of them. I probably am going to embarrass my kids at this. There were tears when they left because they'd sort of established such good bonds with some of the players.
I'm going to end with the beginning because why not? You guys went into the auction without... you didn't have a team name, right? When you went into the auction?
We had a name that...
You didn't have a logo.
We had exactly, I would say about 50 days before the first match that we were supposed to play.
For the first ball was bowled and Shami got a wicket off that ball, by the way.
That's right.
Dreams.
That's right. And so within that, we went to the auction with just a name.
Just a printout? Just a little...
Yeah,
we just get a printout on an A4 and just fold it up?
No. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. And so anyway, that's part of history now. But yes, it was pretty hectic. But and I had promised Vikram, I said, I promise you, despite this short term, you guys will not have to look over your shoulder. Yes. In terms of create conditions for them to not worry about these smaller things and just focus on the what eventually turned out to be the championship.
Vikram, for you guys as well, as a coaching unit, of course, everybody's going success, fantastic. But you guys together as a collective unit, have seen a lean period as well with when you guys were with RCB. So I think all of you, this leave aside life experiences, and you've all seen a lot of that. But even as a coaching unit, specifically contextually to this, you have seen the other side of the coin, and now you've seen this. So you guys know, right? You guys know that it can fall either way, cuts both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and that's why I suppose I'm repeating myself almost to the point that it is perhaps to myself. There isn't a guarantee, but you must use your best endeavors to ensure you prepare the team as you think is appropriate. But there is no guarantee.
Yeah. Before we go, is there anything you'd like to say to all the fans and supporters of GT?
Only one thing. We have the opportunity of playing in front of our home crowd over a good number of games. We had the good fortune last year. That is in the past. Let's forget that now. Come and support us. We are very much grateful for your support, for your love. We're as excited about playing in front of our home fans as they are, hopefully, of seeing us here. Come out and support us. We're very grateful for your support.
Colonel, any message you'd like to give to the fans, the home fans, except the fact that you've planned free snacks for everybody at the stadium? Is that true? No, it's not? Oh, sorry.
Snacks, yes, but I don't know about the free part of it. But, no, again, I would like to reinforce what Vikram has said. Absolutely true. And extremely grateful towards the people of Gujarat to kind of the way they have supported their team. Yes, we understand that there is a lot of expectation from us. We'll certainly try and live up to those expectations and more. There will be no lack of effort in whatever GT does, for sure, both on and off the field. And pretty confident of the fact that they'll be happy with what we deliver.
That's amazing. I think the idea of this podcast was just kind of do a deep dive, various aspects, I think, for fans to know just how a team works. So the thing is, I don't think the numbers matter, because everybody knows the money is such, in public domain right now. So that's not what's important. It's what the people who make the entire thing tick, on interpersonal relations. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for throwing light on that. I'm sure it's, kind of a real eye opener for not just GT fans, but just cricket fans in general. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Titans.